every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Christian Ogodo. In our major stories tonight, thanks for joining us tonight. The news in full. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered that the assets of former Niger Delta militant leader, Government Ekpemu Polo, popularly known as Tom Polo, be seized pending when he will honor his court summons. Tom Polo is to answer to charges of 45.9 billion naira fraud preferred against him and 9 others by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Festus Keyamo, who is counsel to the EFCC, says he is happy the court granted the commission's application to have Tom Polo's assets confiscated. Victoria Solomon files in her report and it's presented from our studios.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, may have recorded progress on Friday when the Federal High Court in Lagos granted its application to have the property of Government Ekpemu Polo, also known as Tom Polo, seized. At the court hearing on Friday, counsel to EFCC Festus Keyamo said the application became necessary because his refusal to appear in court is delaying the trial of Patrick Akwabolokemi, the Nemasa boss.
Tom Polo failed to appear again, and we brought an application for the seizure of all his properties that we can lay hands on, as provided for by law. If an accused person continues to abscond from court and conceal himself from arrest after a warrant of arrest has been issued, the law provides that all his properties should be confiscated until he appears, and after 3 months, if he still does not appear, they should be auctioned by the federal government. And that's what we have done. And the court granted our prayers to seize all his properties we find anywhere. That is what the court granted.
Keyamo also disclosed that the cases will now be treated separately since Akwabolokemi has appeared in court.
No, we are going to separate the charge. We are going to keep his own until we get him or until we auction his properties, and we continue with the other ones. We're just going to separate them so that he will stand alone from the other accused persons because he is delaying the trial of the other accused persons. So we're going to separate it so that he is alone in one charge, and then the other charge we shall continue with the other accused persons.
Nigerians wait and watch while hoping the latest ruling will compel Tom Polo out of hiding.
On judiciary matters, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has refused to grant an application seeking to shield from public view the prosecution witnesses who are billed to testify against pro-Biafran leader Nnamdi Kanu. Prosecution counsel David Kaswe, who filed the application, argued that the witnesses are already expressing fear of possible attack if they do not wear protective shields. But defense counsel Chuks Muoma, however, opposed the application on the grounds that the accused persons will not get a fair trial if court allows the people who are to testify against them wear masks. Correspondent Basilo Kafo files in this report and it's presented from our studios.
Apart from allowing witnesses to wear masks, the prosecution is also asking the court to allow only accredited journalists, family members, and lawyers of the accused persons have access to the courtroom during the trial. The defense counsel says it is equal to secret trial and the offense the accused persons are standing for does not warrant secret trial. Both counsels cited relevant sections of the law to support their arguments on whether the prosecution witnesses should wear masks or not.
What really happened is there was an application this morning by the prosecution. We intend to have our witnesses to be protected so that when they come to give evidence in court, they will not be intimidated by probably people who knows them or anything. So, but unfortunately, the defense put up a very strong opposition on the grounds that that will amount to secret trial. Let me use this opportunity to say that what we asked for was never secret trial. We're only asking for the protection of our witness, and that is all simpliciter.
That this trial must be conducted in open court based on law, facts, and available evidence before the court, and not based on opinions expressed over the media, particularly in the media chat. As you are aware, only last 2 weeks, as last second date, the court, our application for release of his 2 passports was made in open court. This is the same person whom has been announced to the whole world that didn't come into this country with his passport. But the application has been made for the release of his passport, which the court said that we should hold on until the prosecution closes this case. And also, it's only in this court that we learned, that acquisition of dual citizenship is a crime. It's not a crime under the law. Under Section 28 of the Constitution, acquisition of dual citizenship is not a crime.
In his ruling, the trial judge, Justice James Sow, agreed with defense that the witnesses should not be hooded while giving their testimonies. Justice Sow, however, granted the request of the prosecution that seek to hide the names and addresses of the witnesses from public knowledge. The matter has been adjourned till March 7 to 11 for further hearing.
The Kogi State House of Assembly has announced plans to serve an impeachment notice on the Deputy Governor of the state, Simon Achuba. Speaker of the House, Momo Jimo, made the plans known at a news conference in Abuja. Jimo denounced his own impeachment by 5 members of the House, adding that the notice of impeachment would be served on the Deputy Governor for allegedly instigating crisis among members of the House of Assembly. The Speaker also announced the suspension of the said 5 members who announced his own impeachment, saying their action is a clear violation of the rules of the House as the 5 members failed to form a quorum before announcing his impeachment. And the Lagos State Police Command has declared war against gangsterism and street fighting while reiterating its resolve to stamp out corruption within the force. Commissioner of Police Fatai Owosheni, speaking with newsmen in his office, decried the increasing level of gangsterism in the state while appreciating the peaceful atmosphere during the Lagos Marathon race and the visit of the German president. He also appealed to residents to allow its men entry as they attempt to speedily respond to distress calls. Sarah Yeku has the rest of that story.
The Lagos State Police Command has continued the bid to intimate residents of his activities, especially as it relates to security of lives and property. The Lagos Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owosheni, disclosed that his men have been able to reduce the rate of crime in the state.
A lot of things have happened in the command, but I can safely say that with regards to crime and with regards to public safety and security in Lagos State, I think we are not doing badly.
The Commissioner of Police urged members of the public not to be reluctant in sharing information and cooperate with the force.
In our continued effort to enforce the law on restriction of the motorcycles to the rules that they are supposed to apply, 651 motorcycles were impounded for contravening the restriction on motorcycles to certain routes, and the 651 motorcycles have been handed to the Lagos State Environmental Task Force for further action.
Owasheni also spoke about ongoing efforts to deal with corruption and excesses within its rank and file.
I've had the pronouncement made by His Excellency the Executive Governor of Lagos State that the police and the security agencies in Lagos will not allow any impunity, will not condone any impunity. We will continue to use appropriate force to deal with anyone that commits crime or that think that they can take people for granted in Lagos.
While the police force strategically rebrands itself, Nigerians are enjoined to support its efforts to fight crime in the country in order to reduce it to the barest level. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And 21 students of the Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti arraigned and detained for the February 7, 2016 riot have once more been denied bail. Parents whose hopes of taking their wards' homes have been repeatedly dashed, consequently accusing the school management of tricking them into signing an affidavit as a prerequisite for releasing the students. Our correspondent in Ado-Ekiti, Rashid, has that story.
The case against the 21 students was not expected to come up for hearing until the 27th of March, hence the surprise when the matter was brought up in court on Friday, just 2 days after setting the March adjournment date. As it stands, the students will have to spend at least 1 more week in custody. Defense counsel and parents have accused management of Afe Babalola University of reneging on its promise of releasing the students after making them sign an affidavit.
They pleaded with him that they will write an apology letter and sign an affidavit to back the apology letter up. And I learned that they have saved that one.
The parents were asked to sign it by the council representing the school with the hope that they will be released today. That was done on Wednesday, but nothing of such happened today.
There is a 17-year-old boy called Enika Umoren, a first-year student. He's a Jambite. He's also in prison. They put guns on their head and told them to falsify their ages. What is happening in Nigeria? After tricking all the parents to sign the affidavit with the promise that our children will be released today, we came to court only to be told that the case has been transferred to the DPP.
Education Rights Campaign, a civil rights group, has also called for the immediate release of those students.
Make sure that all these 31 students are released unconditionally. Right from this moment, we will go to all Nigerian campuses, starting from Ekiti State University, Afe Babalola University, to University of Ibadan. We mobilize students across campuses for a solidarity action for make sure that these students are released unconditionally.
With the recommendation of the Attorney General and the court intervention, we are ready to take necessary administrative steps, which is permissible by law.
The remanded students in particular can only hope the matter is resolved quickly as they wait eagerly to breathe the sweet air of freedom. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
The break, more voices of support for government's anti-graft war. And federal government reiterates commitments to the rule of law. Join us again.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS calls on all corporate organizations operating in Nigeria to register for the purpose of payment of taxes and obtain a tax identification number TIN. All registered companies must obtain a tax identification number immediately from the nearest FIRS office. You can also collect and return tax registration forms from the Federal Inland Revenue Service Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, FEET, on compliance checks exercise in your area. A company which is yet to commence business after at least 6 months of incorporation must pay a pre-operational levy of 20,000 naira in the first year and 25,000 naira for subsequent years to obtain its tax clearance certificate TCC. Note that filing and payment of VAT and withholding tax returns must be done on or before the 21st day of every month. Register for VAT. File all tax returns as and at when due. Be a responsible corporate citizen of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Are you aware
that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high. Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Welcome back, and if you've just joining us, here is a quick reminder of our top stories. You can watch these and other stories on our social media platform on facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can tweet us at CoreTV News NG. Follow us on youtube.com/CoreTV News. We'll now continue with the rest of the news, and the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the present administration will continue to fight corruption within the confines of the rule of law, but it warns that it is not intended to be used as a weapon to hamper the dispensation of justice. In response to the ongoing anti-corruption efforts of the government, an increasing number of voices have emerged in defense of suspects being indicted for various acts of corruption by the law under the banner of upholding the rule of law. It further says that the Buhari administration is a product and true advocate of the rule of law, and that there is no greater proponent of that time-tested legal principle than Mr. President himself. In addition, the minister says there is nothing questionable in the administration's approach to fighting corruption because the government is bound by law and is following the rule of law in its anti-corruption efforts. Were this not the case, the accused persons so far charged would not be having their way in court. Discussants at a symposium including Femi Falana and G.T. Ogunye, with each of them expressing support for the anti-corruption battle, saying those who are charged with corruption cannot use the bogey of the rule of law to escape justice. And the fact-finding tour by the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing continues, with former Head of State Abdul Salam Abubakar also lending his voice to the growing call by Nigerians on the need for the federal government to pay more attention to the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the road sector. The former Head of State, while hosting the Minister, Babatunde Fashola, says caution is the watchword on Nigerian roads. Our correspondent, Kazim Kasali, has more of this report.
The minister, who is in Niger State as part of the fact-finding tour by his ministry, first took in some project before later visiting the former head of state in his Mina home. After the visit, the former head of state has a word of caution for road users on the state of the roads.
The driver should be very careful on the last bit, because this Mina Suleja road junction is something that will happen.
The Niger State Governor, Sani Bello, while welcoming the minister, also stayed on the subject of the state of the road. He says the state has probably the largest network of federal roads in the country and that the roads are in need of urgent action. For him, the state will continue to partner with the federal government to address the issue of compensation on the Zungeru hydropower plant.
We have the largest network of federal roads within the country, and most of them have suffered a lot of neglect over years. So I'm happy you made it today. You have seen some. You will see more. You will see the most important one. You will back to Abuja now.
For his part, the minister says he's in the state essentially to see things for himself.
So we visited the Zungeru power project, and I must start first by thanking Your Excellency for the leadership role that you have played in wading into the community issues, compensation disputes that have delayed the project for about 2 years. I'm glad to say that in the manner that you informed me when you visited in Abuja, work has resumed on the site.
The minister and his host later exchanged gifts. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Mina.
And some political matters now, where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will on Saturday, 20th February, conduct 22 of the appeal court-ordered rerun elections across 8 states of the Federation. This will mark the climax of the 8 court-ordered elections, which the Commission is to conduct from January to March 2016, with preparations at top gear to ensure hitch-free mini-general elections. INEC will conduct senatorial, federal constituency, and state constituency elections across 8 states, namely Benue, Kaduna, Plateau, Niger, Nasarawa. Others are Kogi, Taraba, and Imo states. The Commission will conduct 4 senatorial elections, 3 federal constituency elections, and 15 state constituency elections. The senatorial elections will be conducted in Benue South Senatorial District, Imo North Senatorial District, Kogi Central Senatorial District, and Kogi East Senatorial District. In addition, the federal constituency elections will hold in Okene Ogorimagongo Federal Constituency of Kogi State, Lafia Obi Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State, and Kurmi Saudana Federal Constituency of Taraba State. The 15 states constituency elections will be conducted across Imo, Kaduna, Kogi, Plateau, Niger, and Taraba states, while the Resident Electoral Commission REC for the FCT, Jacob Jetau, insists that the Commission is out to ensure a free, fair election. Mixed reactions have continued to trail the foreign trips of the president since taking over the office more than 6 months ago. President Muhammadu Buhari has embarked on 10 foreign trips, which translates into 2 foreign trips per month, considering the economic challenges bedeviling the nation. Our flagship program, Core Digest, this is the focal point of discussion. Our correspondent, Abimbola Lao, has more in this report presented from our studio.
The regular foreign trips of the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has been a major issue of concern for Nigerians. In our flagship program, Core Digest, this issue was brought to bear as to what gains will this trip bring to Nigeria.
It goes to the places where he's been invited. We must also realize that when he came into government, a number of factors necessitated is having to travel to the first number of countries he visited. It was inevitable that in view of our precarious security situation, he needed to go meet the leaders of the neighboring countries so that collaboration and coordination could be better entrenched.
However, the issue of the free fall of the naira cannot be overlooked, as this analyst asked the president to do all in his capacity in reviving the economy.
The president and his government may not know that people are now beginning to be disillusioned about the capacity and the capability of President Muhammadu Buhari and his government in properly managing the economy. Problem now is that there is a general perception against this president and against this government at best managing the economy, and that is even why the issue of the trips is becoming an issue.
Callers also have this to say.
The government failed to recognize that the made Nigerian goods must take preeminence above the imported goods. That was going to rise up the GDP of Nigeria.
The trip is not helping us at all. It's supposed to be done and know the problems of people in the country. Know where the problems are country. It's not corruption. It's not first. Corruption is good. Yes, we accept corruption. But you need to sit down and look at what the major things that is the problem. Look at our money. Our dollar is going to 400 naira. No, it doesn't work.
Because of the bad governance we have gotten for 16 years, people tend to forget that whatever good thing you want to do has to start from somewhere. Why are we just talking about diversifying our economy is bad? Because the price of crude has dropped drastically worldwide.
It's hoped that the present administration will yield fruitful results in reviving the economy in order to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians.
The crisis over the suspension of some students of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife in Osun State, is still deepening, and the National Association of Nigerian Students chapter at the university is not relenting in its efforts to mediate until the suspended students are reinstated. Some other students are also not taking the decision lying low. Rashid from Ado Ekiti in Ekiti State has the report.
Tuesday it was, the 12th of January 2016, when 3 student union leaders of the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife were suspended by the management of the institution for insubordination. President Omutayo Akande suspended for 6 semesters, Secretary Oluwaseun Oketoto and the Public Relations Officer Emmanuel Ojedokun suspended for 4 semesters each. Suffice to say, the student union government was equally dissolved. Public Relations Officer of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Abiodun Larewaju, who spoke on the crisis, disclosed that the suspension of the students remains a corrective measure.
The lecturer to vacate the class in the middle of the lecture, simply because they claimed they wanted to address their colleagues. And this is a professor of international standing, a 2-term dean of the Faculty of Arts. Please let me finish with this lecture. The student instead said no. And he brought out the megaphone, disrupted the lecture. In fact, we thank God that the thing did not degenerate into a crisis, because the students that were being lectured decided to attack the student union that came, the members of the student union that came. That, look, you said you wanted to address us, and this is the middle of the lecture. Why couldn't you go out first? So, in the ensuing melee, the professor walked out of the class. Not done, they now demanded that the professor should apologize to them for not allowing them to address their class, the class properly. And that if the professor failed to apologize to them within the next 24 hours, they could not guarantee his safety. For God's sake, we're not breeding gangsterism here. We're not breeding hooligans here. So if any student would do that, definitely not in effect.
Some students are, however, not happy with the decision of the school authority, going by the protest staged at Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, where they accused of Afemi Awolowo University management of corruption and high-handed.
I mean, the recognition of the independence of the union and the restatement of the suspended leaders of the student union, including an activist who has been suspended since 2011, Olawale Owolabi aka Oguruku. And finally, we are calling for the probe and arrest of the Vice Chancellor of AU, Professor Bamtali Amole. And these are fundamental reasons why we are here this afternoon.
Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students, through its national vice chairman, Ayenu Rogbenga, had dissociated itself from the activities of the protesting group of students, saying its only goal is to ensure that the suspended students, having realized their mistakes, get reinstated.
Ever since the abort of the protest, we have been making a series of moves. We have been to ASU, we have been to Professor YK Yusuf, we have been to the management. And I must tell you at this present, I can tell you the professor involved or the lecturer involved that the student had issues with. I've accepted the apology of the student. He has forgiven them. He even gave them a backup letter which have been directed to the university management. We met with the leadership of ASU. If not for the election process and transitional process of ASU, I believe the apology of the student will have been accepted. We are awaiting that after, at the meeting of the Congress of ASU, the unanimous decision of the acceptance of the apology of the student leaders will be accepted, which will be forwarded to the management. We believe that these processes will call for the reinstatement of student leaders. Finally, we want to reassure all OAU students and Nigerian students at large of our commitment towards the reinstatement of the suspended student leader and urgent restoration of student union activities on campus.
As it is, the suspension order stands and the student union government stays dissolved unless a mediation miracle between OAU management and NANS happens. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ile-Ife.
We'll go on another break now, and when we return, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, claims responsibility for Ankara's bombing. Join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. And Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
You're welcome back. A breakaway faction of Turkey's outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, has claimed responsibility for the bombing in the Turkish capital, Ankara, that killed 28 people this week. The Kurdistan Freedom Hawks, TAK, says Wednesday's bombing was in response to the policy of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and the military operations going on in the country's southeast. TAK also promises to continue its attacks and further warns tourists not to visit Turkey. U.S. warplanes have carried out attacks on militants from the so-called Islamic State IS in Libya, killing at least 30 people. The targets include an IS training camp and a senior Tunisian extremist leader. IS has been operating in Libya for about a year, and the U.S. estimates it has up to 6,000 fighters there, with Libya remaining in chaos more than 4 years after the overthrow of former leader Muammar Gaddafi, and is being fought over by a number of groups, including IS. And Kenya's capital, Nairobi, is on alert after several lions escaped from a nearby national park overnight and strayed into the city. Although one lioness and her 2 cubs have been recaptured, 2 other lions are believed to have gone back into the Nairobi National Park on their own accord. However, it is not clear whether more lions remain on the loose, but residents have been told to report any sightings to a free telephone line. That's quite scary. And Harper Lee, the author To Kill a Mockingbird, kicks the bucket at the age of 89. The news was first confirmed by the mayor's office in her hometown of Monroeville, Alabama. In 1960, Lee published Mockingbird, a huge critical and commercial success which won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction and told the tale of a white lawyer defending a black man accused of rape in America's Deep South, and the book sold more than 40 million copies worldwide. Well, we'll now take some sports stories when we return.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
Manchester United manager Louis van Gaal has put his side's 2-1 defeat by FC Midtjylland down to Murphy's Law. Memphis Depay put the visitors ahead in the first leg of their Europa League last 32 tie, but Pione Sisto and Paul Onuachu gave the host victory. Van Gaal, already without 13 players, lost David De Gea during the warm-up and used an adage that means anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Everything really is just going wrong for Van Gaal and his Manchester United team. But team boss Mauricio Pochettino says Dele Alli has a lot to learn after the England international appeared to kick an opponent during Thursday's 1-1 Europa League draw at Fiorentina. Ali was booked for a foul on Reinhard Stomovic and caught the defender with a boot when he was on the ground. However, Pochettino claims he did not see the incident at the time but planned to talk to the midfielder after he had watched a replay. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger says there is no need to scrap FA Cup replays because every Premier League team has enough players to cope with extra matches. Future of FA Cup replays and midweek round are among measures being considered to trim the fixture list. However, Wenger believes all the clubs can compete with the number of games. And finally, Manchester City boss Manuel Pellegrini says the club will prioritize the Champions League above their FA Cup fifth round tie at Chelsea on Sunday. City plays their first leg of the Champions League last 16 March at Dynamo Kiev next week Wednesday, 4 days before the Capital One Cup final. The 2012 FA Cup winners are still in contention to complete an unprecedented quadruple by winning the Premier League, League Cup, FA Cup, and the Champions League. That would be a real tall order for Pellegrini and the noisy neighbors in Manchester City. Well, let's wish them all the best of luck. That's our bulletin tonight, but let's recap with our top stories. That's CoreTV Primetime News, and thanks for watching. I am Christian Ogodo. Good night.